So you're one of those precious few people looking for a real estate market update at the moment. I'm happy to have you here. I'm Julie.grandon, your local Arlington, well, really DMV area realtor. And today we're going to discuss the market, what's changed, and what's changing in 2024. And I'll give you some of my thoughts on what I see happening in the year to come. First up, for a little bit of a recap, since the interest rates climbed to between 7 and 8% starting in August 2022, we've had a lot of people hold back, both on the buying side, buyers holding off because of the higher interest rate, and a lot of sellers doing the same because they also would have to buy a home at maybe a higher interest rate. Now, in the DC area, we do have a lot of people that move into the area and then move out in a few years. So some sellers are always going to be in a position to move elsewhere and buy something less expensive where the higher interest rate doesn't matter as much. So we saw the market stall and slow down quite a bit from the booming sellers market of 2020, 2021. And since about the end of 2022, we had been trending towards a buyer's market. The amount of homes currently on the market, if no new homes were added to that list, it would be the number of months it would take to sell them, has been closer to 1. In fact, right now it's 1.2, which does keep it in the seller's market. So over the past year, many of the nicer homes, renovated, newer, have been selling quickly still, within a couple of days, over a weekend, and with multiple offers. Some of the homes that do need repairs and aren't as prime have been taking a little bit longer, and we're seeing that pretty clearly as you'll come across many homes that have been on the market for 40 or 60 or so days, which you just weren't seeing before in and around 2020. Because the market still has a low inventory, 1.2 months, there is still not a ton for buyers to choose from, and this has led to some of the nicer homes still having very competitive quick sales, over the first weekend with multiple offers and that type of thing. Some of the homes that do need a little bit of work have taken longer, and some of those, it really does show in the numbers, they'll be on the market for 40 or 60 days. So the average in Arlington recently has been around 30 days on market, which is typical for like a standard market, not really a buyer's and not really a seller's market. Now for prices, if you look at Washington, D.C., in D.C. they did go up over the past year, but it is not by a lot. It's something like 0.2%, so it's almost negligible. Comparing that to Arlington, the median sales price went up 18.7% year over year for the fourth quarter of 2022 versus 2023. So prices have gone up pretty significantly. I put together reports monthly for my Instagram, and what I've seen consistently, if you look at any individual month in Arlington, typically it went up 5%. Alexandria went up 4.1%, Montgomery County 3.9%, and Fairfax a little over 5%. Typically, they say that the average price increase each year is 3%, or 3 to 5 in a better year. The Washington, D.C. metro area typically does average more like 5% every year, which you can see in these figures. If you put them all together, you would probably be around 5%. Arlington being smaller than D.C., Alexandria, Fairfax, and Montgomery County all being roughly 5% anyways. So that's all sort of par for the course, typical 5% increase in prices in the D.C. area. This does surprise people, though, who were waiting for the market to crash because of the higher interest rates and expected to see prices plummet so that they could afford a bigger, better home. Or afford a home at all. And that's just not happening. I don't see a crash happening at all at this point. About a year ago, maybe a year and 3 months ago, somebody asked me, when's the time to buy? And I said, right now, like this dip at that point was like a 5% dip, is probably the most we're going to see. And since then, I've seen it just go up, which is normal for real estate. The interesting thing is that the cash buyers are not the majority of the sales. In fact, it's the same percentage of sales that you normally see in the DC area, around 20 to 30%. So it's not that there are more cash buyers out right now. It's just that they are making up a bigger portion of the buyers, since many people are just avoiding the higher interest rates. So what's the solution? How do we get a home now at this point with higher interest rates, prices keep going up? When's the right time to buy? So the Fed has put it out there that they will lower the interest rates 3 times over this year. That doesn't mean that they're going to come down to what many people would like them to be. The fun time of 3%, maybe 2% has sort of flown its nest. They could come back, but there's no reason to think that they will. And if they do, it probably won't be for many years. So what we're looking at now is about a 6% interest rate, which is nice. It's under the historical average of 7%. You are saving a couple $100 per month on a mortgage than you would have last year. In fact, one of my clients the other day went to one of my preferred lenders, and he was able to get a 5.1% rate. So there are even better rates out there. But hovering around the 6, with the Fed signaling that they will drop the rate 3 times during 2024, I think we could expect to end the year around a 5.1 to 5.4 rate. Now, when is the time to buy? My thoughts on this are now. Now is a great time to buy. When the rates do start to tick down and the spring market, summer market starts to heat up, I believe there will be a real uptick in buyers out there looking for homes, competing for the same nicer homes that have already been selling quickly, and it'll just be hard to get your hands on a home that you'll like. So if you start now, there will be less competition. You can always find a great lender who has some really good options for you to keep your price at something reasonable. But the big thing, and the thing that's been bothering me all along, is the loss in equity. If you're waiting for an interest rate to drop, which just isn't dropping, and it's 5% price increase every year. If you consider something like Alexandria, 5% might be $30,000 in lost equity, which you just don't make up for on the savings on the interest rate. But if you take a look at something like Arlington, where it went up over 18%, you could be looking at a loss in increased value or equity of $100,000 or more. So when I'm asked when is the right time to buy, it's really always when you're ready. If you have the down payment saved up and a little bit of time to spend, it's always worth it. Get in the new home, start building equity. And my thoughts on prices. They'll go up again in the DC area around 5%, maybe a little more in DC this year and a little less in Arlington, but close to 5 overall. So when is the right time to buy? I always say when you're ready. When you have the money saved up and a little extra time to go see some homes, because you can always refinance down the road, but it's better to get in the game, purchase your home, and start building some equity. Thank you for watching. I love hearing from my community here. It's great. We've built such a strong community with great connections, locals, and people moving from out of the area. This is where I'm getting most of my clients. Always love hearing from you, whether it's questions about the DC area or real estate, or if you'd like to work with me and use me as your realtor buying or selling a home. It's always wonderful to hear from you. Please don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is in the description below. And if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. I've got tons more planned for you.